The devil will attack your marriage through your children.
Wow. All right, y'all. Welcome to another episode of Young and Married.
Let's go.
We are excited to be here with y'all today. We're excited every week that we are here. But today's episode is another God-inspired,
Let's go.
faith-filled topic that we're excited about. We also think it's very necessary because today we are talking about ways the devil attacks marriages.
Let's go. Let's go.
Heavy, perhaps. We'll see all that we get into today, but the devil does attack marriage because it is a God-ordained institution for marriage to be between one man, one woman.
Right.
And it is beautiful.
Yeah.
It is a representation on the earth of Christ and his bride.
Yeah.
And so anything that is good, anything that is God-ordained, the enemy can't destroy it if you don't give him that power, but he can and does do his best to attack it.
Yeah,
because he wants to destroy it. But we also want you to know that marriage works. So
it works. So we want to give you some tips and just helpful insight into ways that the enemy is attacking marriage. So I'll kick it off and let's get into this because the devil is a deceiver, right? So he has tricks in his bags. In his bag, and he doesn't have necessarily a lot of tricks. They really stem from a few core tricks that he has. But one of the things about his character is that he's a deceiver. So he's going to attempt to pull the wool over your eyes as it relates to your relationship and your marriage and just confuse situations. And one of the things I thought about, Jen, as it relates to marriage is how, let's just start here on a foundational level, that the enemy will trick you into thinking that your marriage is somehow less of a marriage than somebody else's marriage. And he'll sow those seeds of comparison with other couples and with what you see out there, whether it's on social media or you hang out with your best friend and you're gathering all this information, and when it passes through the filter of your soul, sometimes it gets cloudy and a little bit murky, and you're wondering to yourself, man, do I really have a successful marriage? How come we're not doing all of this? How come we're not doing that? How come we haven't written a book together? How come we don't have a podcast? How come we haven't gone on vacation in the last year? How come our kids aren't in a high school like their kids are in a high school? How come our kids aren't playing sports? Did I do something wrong? All of these thoughts of comparison. And we've talked about comparison on different levels already here at Young and Married, but I wanted to kick it off there and just set a foundation of, I think that a lot of marriages struggle internally because the enemy's wreaking havoc and deceiving people into the idea that what they have going on is less of a marriage than what they see out there. And he really attacks in that way, way of comparison. Comparison.
I think you've hit the nail on the head with that one, but you know, it really is a dangerous thing to get into, because you will think that the grass is greener on the other side. And also we have to remember that with social media, people are just showing you a highlight reel. They're not showing you their valleys. They're not showing you their low moments. They're showing you their high moments. And you can understand why. People shouldn't air all of their low moments on social media, but it does have a way of making us forget that the people behind the screen are human just like we are.
Absolutely. So absolutely. So that's how I wanted to kick it off. What are you thinking, just to get things rolling, about how the enemy attacks marriage?
Yeah, I think another subtle way is having spouses compete against each other.
Okay.
And this can happen for a variety of reasons.
Yeah.
Now, you could have a situation where there's competition because the couples maybe are in a similar industry. Mm-hmm. So maybe they're both, let's say, medical doctors.
Right.
And one feels like they want to open their own private practice.
Right.
And then now, where the other spouse never originally had those aspirations, something starts seeping in your heart and you're saying, well, you know what? I can also open my own private practice. Yeah. I can also have employees. Mm-hmm. I can also be on the cover of a magazine. I'm not, and you find that instead of you just applauding your spouse and realizing that if your spouse wins, you also win,
right.
You're now competing against them. So I'm not saying that you both can't open an office or that you both can't be on the cover of a magazine.
Right.
But you want to always check your heart, because sometimes we think that it's impossible for spouses to compete.
Yeah.
We think that we're always just competing against people that are on the outside. But actually, the enemy tries to get spouses to compete.
Yeah.
If you have two competitive people, it's not a strength once it comes to each other and life. If you're playing a game, if you're, having fun. But when it comes to living life, if you all are always competing against each other, the crazy part is the enemy doesn't even have to bring an outsider to bring division to your home. You all are causing it yourselves. You've got to get to a place where you realize, if my spouse wins in this season, I'm also winning.
Which is difficult. Mm-hmm. Which is difficult to wrap your brain around the fact that we're one.
Yeah.
And a win for you is a win for us.
Exactly.
But there is this level of selfishness that is just in humanity, but it's also prevalent in our world. And it can affect couples where now we're in competition with each other.
Yeah.
And I thought about this, Jen, that when we first got married, you asked me this question I'll never forget. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't a deep question.
Okay.
But it's a question I'll never forget because it has just turned out to be something different than I initially expected.
Okay.
So one day you came to me, you were like, do you think that we would ever work together?
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And you were just wondering if I was the type of husband that would want to work with his wife. And I was like, absolutely not.
Yeah.
I'll never work with you. And you were like, why? What's wrong? What's wrong with me? Blah, blah. I was like, listen, there's nothing wrong with you, but I just want my space. I want to be able to do what I need to do on my own. And then we come together at the end of that day, end of that evening. And, absence is good sometimes, right? And you can really thrive if you have some time apart. So I felt like, man, we'll never work together. And God would just have it, because he has a sense of humor, that we spend so much time together. Yeah. We work together. Our businesses are together. We write books together. We do ministry together. And what I found in that is, because we do so many things together, we have to be cognizant of, hey, how do we each have our places, our sectors of expertise, right?
Yeah.
Our different lanes and our strengths where we can run together, but we're not really running in competition. So if you're thinking about a race, right, and two people are running, we're not running against each other. We're more running as a team.
Right.
And that's we're running together to reach a goal. And I feel like it's a very real thing.
It is.
Especially if you start doing business together, start combining your strengths, your ideas. You might start running into friction and saying, man, this person's trying to take over. They're trying to do everything. Where do I fit in?
It's true, especially because where you and I are concerned, we have similar giftings as well. So we don't have all the same spiritual gifts.
Right.
But we do have similar gifts because we're both called to preach. And so we are always, I believe, making a conscious effort to encourage the other person
Right.
And we help each other out. Like, we'll give feedback, but we're always careful to make sure that we're giving feedback from a heart posture of, I really think this was a great sermon, but here's what you could have done better, versus trying to out-preach the other person.
Yeah.
I actually don't try to out-preach my husband, because I don't think that's possible. I tell him all the time, I think he's a better preacher than I am.
Yeah, but then how come the congregation, every time Pastor Jen is up to preach, the crowd goes wild.
Yeah.
Oh, we love it when Pastor Jen preaches. Oh, yeah. And so it's funny you say that, because you don't try and out-preach me.
No.
But then I realize that you're such the fragrance of the ministry that, because I do a lot of heavy lifting, when you come in, people love that level of relief. It just brings so much fragrance.
Well, listen, I don't know if I bring relief in my sermons. I'm actually accused of being a straight no chaser preacher.
But can you imagine if you preached every week and you were straight no chaser?
Right.
People would be like, why are we getting vegetables every single week, right? It would be a little difficult. So it's amazing how we found that balance. Because I'll give meat and potatoes, but then it's like, where's the vegetables? Oh, Pastor Jen is going to come in with the vegetables. But you were saying how, we had to learn.
Yeah, I think I don't remember us having full-blown seasons where we've straight competed against each other.
Right.
But I do know we've had to sometimes have honest conversations. Like, I've had to have times when I felt like, man, babe, I feel like lately when you do this, they're receiving it better.
Yeah.
And you'll have to be like, Jay, I don't think that that's the case at all. But I would always have those conversations with you, because I didn't want the enemy to have an opportunity to cause it to fester in my heart.
That's good.
And then I realized that there have been times when, here's another one. When it was in the pandemic, I remember you said to me one time, man, Jay, you've really been holding it down because your writing business has brought in more money over the past 6 months than my graphic design business. And you were like, that hasn't happened before, but you've been helping us to hold it down.
Right.
And I remember being shocked, because I never checked who's bringing in what. We have a joint account.
Yeah.
But I realized that as a man, that was a good practice for you to make sure that you didn't get jealous and say, well, why over the past 6 months is she bringing in more than me? I'm the man. I should be bringing in more. I'm about to go out here and just take every graphic design opportunity I can to prove that I can make more than her. So I felt like you even saying, thanks so much for doing that, was also a way of you making sure that your heart stayed in the right place, because your whole thing was, but if over these 6 months, God is causing it, breathing on your business and is helping us, then it's a win, because that means the whole household eats. The whole household can go on vacation. The whole house. But it was different for you, because that was the first time in our marriage where I had ever brought in more income, because for a long time I was strictly a stay-at-home mom and wasn't really bringing in any income of significance. And so that was the first time, I think, in our marriage where you were like, wait, my wife's actually bringing home more money. And for some guys, that's hard.
For some guys, that's hard, and I appreciated it, because I realized that what is the point of having a spouse if they can't provide the help that you need in the time of need? So that was really good, and we just feel like, being able to assess and say, hey, there's a little bit of comparison in our marriage as it relates to other couples, or there's competition within our marriage between the both of us. Being able to be real about that, have conversations, exposes the enemy.
Exactly.
Right? And exposes something that he may try and use to derail the marriage. And the thing about the devil is that you can't just say, oh, it's just a little issue, or it's just a little bit of dissension, or it's just a little bit of us being at odds or arguing. You need to sniff him out every single chance you get, every time you can sense that something's off. Like, don't allow you and your spouse to argue and you can sense that we're arguing a little bit too much and you do nothing about it.
Right, exactly.
Jump in and say, is the enemy at work here? Is the devil at work here? Because we just seem to be disagreeing left and right.
And we've had those moments.
Yeah.
We've definitely had times where one of us has had to say to the other person, do you realize we're starting to get snippy at each other for every little thing? And it's funny because there was a time I remember we were going through that and you had to say, but Jay, hold on. Actually, if you think about it, we're literally getting on each other for nothing. Something so small, and the other person is upset with their spouse, meaning one was upset with the other. And you had to say, hold on, Jay, but actually this is not us though. So why are we picking at each other over the smallest things that don't matter? But you realize, like you said, in those moments, that's another way the enemy attacks marriages, is just trying to disrupt communication.
Yeah.
And so if you and your spouse are bickering all the time, prayerfully that's not normal. But even if it has become normal, just know that that's not from God. God is not, he doesn't expect you to always agree with your spouse. You're two individuals with your own minds, your own perspectives, your own experiences. But he does not want you to live a life of bickering.
Right.
If that has become your normal, then you need to sit down and have a conversation.
Absolutely.
Or if you notice that it's not become your normal, but it's happening more often than what you know is good or healthy, then you still need to sit down and have a conversation so it doesn't become a normal.
Absolutely, absolutely. So let's go to another way in which the devil attacks marriage. And this is really coming from what we see in the Bible, right? The very first instance and appearance of the devil in the Bible, he comes to Eve and he poses a question. And he just drops a seed of doubt. And it's amazing how subtle and sly the enemy is, because he didn't directly come out and challenge what God said to Eve.
Right.
He just simply posed a question. And he was just like, did God really say that if you touch the fruit, then you'll die? Did he really say that? And the enemy will sow seeds of doubt into a marriage and cause you to doubt whether or not your spouse is faithful. Right? Whether or not he'll sow a seed of doubt and say, can you really trust them? And now you've been with this person for 7 years. You've been with this person 10 years.
And they've never before given you a reason.
Never given you a reason. Yeah. And one text message pops up on their phone that you've never seen before. And all of a sudden, doubt has crept in and you're concerned. And now your head is spinning. And what is that about? Who is this person that's texting my spouse? And and maybe you don't address it. Maybe you do address it. Maybe you address it in the wrong way. And it's amazing how he will attack through doubt.
Yeah.
It's not even a lie. It's not even like a big ordeal. It's just, man, you're doubting your spouse.
Yeah, and sometimes the doubt just also comes because you're having a rough patch in life.
Yeah.
I will never forget, we were at a conference one time, and I was talking to a woman who was also there with her husband. Wasn't a marriage conference, but there was a lot of couples there. And the woman, I had never met the woman before the conference. And I remember her saying to me one day, do you ever just wonder or doubt that you married the right person? And I said, no. Yeah. And she was like, you never just think to yourself like, man, maybe I actually married wrong. And I said, no. And I said, I'm not saying it to try to make you feel bad. I said, but I really can't relate because I don't have a perfect marriage, but I've never really sat there and said, man, maybe I should have waited for better. And then she said to me, because sometimes I just think, man, maybe I should have just waited.
Yeah.
And it was sad to hear that because I didn't know them well enough to know if her doubts were valid.
Right.
But just to hear her say that she was now wrestling with like, man, he's not terrible, but I wonder if I should have waited. I wonder if I could have done better. Yeah. And I just began to think like, man, I wonder if he's giving her reasons to doubt or if they're just having a rough patch and the enemy's taking advantage of that rough patch to make her think, like, see how he's acting or see how he lost his last 2 jobs or see, you could have probably done better. You probably could do better. Yeah. And it may not be that you've married the wrong person. It may be that this is their season to really go through it and they have lost the last 2 jobs, but maybe it's not because they have been reckless on the job. Maybe it's not because they have been insubordinate. Maybe, unfortunately, life right now is handing them a difficult hand and they got let go from their last 2 jobs.
And that's why you got to be careful who you hang with and who you let speak into your ear.
That's true.
Because Eve allowed the serpent to talk to her. Mm-hmm. And you may have some shady coworkers that are jealous of your marriage.
Right.
And all of a sudden, all day, they plant seeds of doubt in your spirit, in your soul, in your head.
Yeah.
And then you wonder why your marriage is filled with doubt.
Yeah.
Well, the enemy, because he couldn't slip in through you and your spouse, he's using outside sources to compromise the marriage and compromise your trust and put it in jeopardy. And that's why you have to really protect and insulate your marriage. It can not only... will it sometimes come from outsiders in terms of coworkers or friends? Doubt can creep in through family.
Yeah, that's true.
Doubt can creep in through family if you're not careful. And sometimes people, they're not out here trying to be intentionally spiteful or vindictive. Or even evil. They're just coming from their own experiences.
Yeah.
And you can have an auntie that has only been with the worst type of men.
Yeah.
And she has such a jaded perspective of men. And so she reads everything through that filter of bad relationships with bad men.
Yep.
So all of her advice always comes with a little bit of doubt.
That's true. Yeah.
Like, girl, he's a good man, but I would watch out for, when he comes home like 10, 15 minutes late. Girl, he does provide, but does he have an extra account with some money in it that you don't know about? It's always like these seeds of doubt. And so we have to be careful. And you want to really be on guard because the enemy is trying to tear up and destroy marriages. This is so good. I got some more.
Yeah, let's keep going.
I got more. Isolation. The enemy will attack marriage through isolation. So he'll subtly attempt to separate and isolate the husband and the wife.
Okay.
And what I mean by that is he will cause one or both parties to feel like they are not valued or they don't bring enough to the marriage, or their contribution isn't making a difference, or their spouse doesn't really appreciate them.
Yeah.
And that can absolutely produce isolation. And this example with Eve, there's so many levels and layers to it, because when did the enemy start sowing seeds of doubt? When did the enemy really start to attack Adam and Eve's relationship? Is when Eve was by herself.
Right.
So he absolutely attempts to isolate spouses from each other so that they'll be left to their own thoughts, so that they'll be left to their own advice, so that they won't communicate, they won't come together, they won't lean on each other. They'll just be out there wandering and wondering whether or not they have somebody that's rocking with them.
Yeah, and I think isolation can happen through just non-sinful means.
Yeah.
You could have such opposite work schedules that you all are just kind of passing each other in the house. One is getting ready to start a shift, the other one's ended the shift. And if you're not intentional about saying, hey, I know in this season we have 2 totally different work schedules, but we have to find a way to go on a date. We have to find a way to at least do a check-in with each other. Because sometimes it's not even that one person or the other person is trying to be isolated, but something as innocent as work schedules can cause you to be isolated. Also, I think when you have young children, you can be a little isolated. I've been that stay-at-home mom of young children whose husband goes out to work every day. And so I know what it feels like to be at home with just small children.
Absolutely.
My mom, once I was married, we've never lived in the same state since you and I have been married. And so it's not like I could pop over to my mom and dad's and have adult conversation while the kids played. When we first got married, your family all was still working, and same for when we, first had kids. And so all of that to say that if you're not careful and you don't find even at least another mom to connect with, you're now isolated from your spouse. So now your husband gets home, if you're the stay-at-home mom, and then instead of saying, oh, here's my chance to connect, sometimes the stay-at-home mom feels like, great, you take the kids, I'm about to go decompress by myself. You have to be intentional enough to say, hey, I do need to decompress and find some me time, but I still have to connect with my spouse. So sometimes, if you're not careful, those isolating moments come through things that are not even wrong, but you don't realize how they can pull you from your spouse.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think that's so good. When you were talking, so many other ones were popping into my head. And you brought up kids. The devil will attack your marriage through your children.
Wow.
The devil will attack your marriage through your children. So don't log off. Don't end this video. Don't scroll. Because you're like, what in the world is Mark's talking about? How can the enemy attack my marriage through my children? I'm not saying your children are the devil.
Right, absolutely.
I'm not saying your children are possessed. I'm not saying your children are evil.
Right.
I'm saying that the enemy will use whatever he can.
As a weapon.
And it's not even like they're doing something wrong. But he can take something good. And he can turn it and twist it. And if he sees that there's a level of vulnerability or even a level of imbalance in a direction where you should be more balanced, he'll use that to cause you to go off the rails, to cause you to lose your marriage, to cause you to not trust your spouse. Because one of the ways that the enemy can use your kids to attack your marriage is that he can just allow them to drive a wedge in between you and your spouse. And now you're spending so much time with the kids, or you're worried so much about the kids, and you're doing everything for the kids that you stop doing certain things for your spouse.
That's good.
And now you're out of balance because God didn't bless you with kids so that you will neglect your spouse.
Right. And actually, I think those things happen when you have the order incorrect.
Let's go.
So if you believe that now it's God, kids, spouse, you are out of order. And anything that's out of order is not going to function properly.
Let's go.
So it's always God, spouse, children. We love our children. We would not trade them in for the world. But they do not come before Mark in my life. And I know that they don't come before me in his life. They come before our church ministry. They come before other family members, but they don't come before each other. And so, yes, kids can drive a wedge. And like you said, they don't even know that they're driving the wedge because they're not waking up saying, I'd like to drive a wedge between my parents. But you're allowing them to drive a wedge by putting them before your spouse. If you and your spouse are not healthy, your kids are probably also not going to be healthy.
And kids don't care. The kids are like, they're just not concerned about how you and your spouse is doing. Like, they just walk through life and they're only concerned about themselves,
right.
What they have to do, what they want to get done, meeting their needs, right? And they just, for the most part, expect, hey, my parents are good.
Right.
Now, kids are smart, so they can tell when
if their home's
things
dysfunctional.
Yeah, when things are going on that shouldn't be going on.
Right.
But listen, if you have a good family, for the most part, kids are just like, well, it's not a big deal to have to take me to soccer practice
right.
every single evening,
right.
and then do a soccer tournament on Saturday and Sunday, and then do it all again the very next week. How is that a big deal? You guys, you still will be okay. Right. Like, kids don't understand that. And the enemy works beneath the covers and under the disguise of imbalance.
Right.
And when a marriage is out of balance, and when a marriage is living in the extreme, right? So you're an extreme workaholic.
Yes, that's a good one.
The enemy plays like his sandbox is in the extremes.
That's a good one. Yep.
Because he's like, hey, if you work too hard, I'm going to use that and I'm going to attack your marriage.
Yeah.
But when you're balanced and says, and you say to yourself, you know what? We need to take a day of rest.
Yep.
We need to date. We need to spend time together. Then he's like, how can I get at this marriage? How can I get these guys? Because these guys are living pretty much a balanced life.
Yeah.
Because God has called us to balance.
Yeah.
That's why he has Sabbath. That's why he says, hey, make sure you don't overwork. Make sure you put family first before you put it before church.
Right. It's amazing because there's a reason why God set so many things in order, and we don't even sometimes realize just how deep his love is for us, that these things that he set in place, telling us what the order of a household should be, that it's God, then it's the man of the home, then it's the wife, and so on and so forth. And like you said, instituting a Sabbath. And we don't often realize that these are things that God set up to help us ward off the enemy. Because he knows the enemy's coming, but he's given us the tools to stand against him and not fall into his traps.
It's so good. It's so good. So I'll leave y'all with this, that the Bible says that the enemy is like, the Bible doesn't say that he is. The Bible says the enemy is like a roaring lion, seeking whom he may devour.
Right.
So if you can imagine that the enemy is lurking, walking through the world, sending out his demons throughout the world, and all they're doing is knocking on different houses.
Oh, wow.
All they're doing is walking through neighborhoods and testing and saying, is this a marriage that's available?
Wow.
And has the potential to be devoured?
Right.
They're not out here wasting time. The forces of darkness are not omnipresent.
Right.
They have a set amount of forces and weaponry. They don't have unlimited power. So why would they waste their time with a household that is secure, that's in balance, that prays, that serves the Lord? Will he try and attack you? Yeah.
Yep.
But he's looking for those whom he can devour.
Yeah, that's
He's
good.
seeking that. And so he loves to take the easy way out. He loves to take the easy way out. So I just want to challenge marriages out there to say, we're going to fortify our marriage and not make it easy for the enemy to devour us. That when he comes knocking on our door, because he will knock on our door, he finds it very difficult to destroy your marriage. So I feel something in my soul when it comes to this one. I think that there's more to this. I feel like this is more than an episode. I feel like this is a book. This is we're preachers. This is a sermon series. This is something because a lot of us, we've all been attacked in our marriage. And if we can offer any insight not just to help people out there, but just to reinforce some of the things that God has given us so that we all stay healthy. I think that would be time well served. And this is good. So I love this topic.
No, this is a very good one. And one way that you can safeguard your marriage is through purchasing this book, Marriage Cheat Codes. It's tools to help you make marriage easy.
Yeah.
We're not saying it'll be perfect, but we want to help make it a little easier through these God-inspired points that he has given us. And so you can purchase a copy of this on Amazon. It's available in paperback or ebook. We also encourage you to get it for a couple that is getting ready to get married. So it's great for engaged couples. It's great for singles who want to prepare for marriage.
Let's go.
So really, wherever you find yourself on the relationship spectrum, we believe this book can and will help. It's already been a blessing to so many. So please grab a copy of this today.
Let's go. Let's go. Well, y'all, this has been another episode of Young and Married. We want you to subscribe to this channel if you haven't done so already. And we will catch you next time. Until then, take care. Young and Married.